Hey guys, this is Dave with Full Armor Gaming, coming back for you guys again with another installment in our How to DM series. So far we've covered the objectives of a DM, we've covered how to listen to your players, and we've also covered where do you get your instruction manual, your DM guide, the best way to kind of go through that and get familiarized with it. But today we're going to be talking about creating a setting for your campaign or your one-shot or your games. Setting would be the best way to determine what a setting is the world that this is going to take place in. Now, I'm not saying at this point you have to have every single thing about the world fleshed out, but the first step in starting a campaign is deciding where in the world does this campaign exist in, which world does this campaign exist in, and when in the world this campaign exists in. So that is the number one thing we need to establish right off the bat. Where are we going to be? When are we going to be? And in what world are we going to be? So there's a few options right off the bat. So if you want to keep it really quick, easy, and simple, the best way is just to run a module. If you run a module, it's already, you've already got a story, you got everything you need, maps, everything, and the world is already all figured out. That's the easiest way to do it. And honestly, if you're brand new to D&D, that's probably the way to do it. It lets you kind of test your legs and all that kind of stuff. But in case you were somebody that's like, you know what, I have a story in my head that I want to tell, and I think my players are really going to enjoy it. I just don't know, I know I need a city. I don't know where the city wants to be. I don't know what city it is, but I need stuff to happen in a city. Choosing a setting is very important. Talk with your players and get an idea if there are certain things that they want. So like for me, I am running a campaign and I know that a lot of my players are big fans of the show Critical Role. They watch a lot of the different seasons and all that kind of stuff. So when I was creating my campaign, I chose to do the setting in just the continent of Tal'Dorei. That's part of the Matt Mercer world that he's kind of worked on creating. The reason for that is so that the cities that they interact with, the land around them, they've heard about, they have seen in shows and watched on on YouTube and on Twitch and all that kind of stuff. So it adds a level of excitement and it adds a level of familiarity with the world. That's what I was going for in that. Some people have been playing D&D for a very long time, and they're very familiar with the Forgotten Realms, the Faerun area. Me personally, I grew up reading the Legend of Drizzt books. I think I read almost all of them. So I'm super familiar with the Forgotten Realms. I really like, Luskan and Baldur's Gate and Icewind Dale and all that kind of stuff. That is worlds I'm super familiar with. I like those worlds. So that's a setting I enjoy playing in as well. But I'm also okay with DMing a setting in a place that I know my players would feel more comfortable. So that's why I chose the Tal'Dorei region. Getting an idea of where in the world we want to have this campaign is always really fun. And like I said, it's something to talk to your players about, get an idea. Now, like I said before, if you already have a story in your head and I'm running this campaign because I have this awesome thing and I want to bring it to life and I want people to experience it, you do you. If you're a little bit more experienced as a DM, or maybe you're adventurous as a new DM, there is always the option of Homebrew. I have a close friend that is a mastermind at Homebrew. This guy is amazing. I'm playing in 2 of his different campaigns, and in both of his campaigns, they both take place inside the same world that he has created, but on 2 different continents that he has created. And they interact with each other. The 2 different campaigns, the stories overlap. It's amazing. It is so cool to be playing in one campaign and hear him mention something that ties to another whole campaign that you're in. It's just so cool. I personally I am a creative person, but not in that way. I am not super organized. So when it comes to keeping track of multiple multiple continents of a world that I can't look at and Google and find more stuff on, that's a little bit harder for me, even as an experienced DM. So play to your strengths when it comes to your setting. If organization and creativity and imagination is a huge part of what you're looking to do, maybe the idea of a homebrew world isn't a bad idea for you. But if all three words kind of that I just said there, kind of like, I'm not any of that, maybe just using a pre-established world is probably the way to go. The other advantage to having a pre-established world is a lot of times online you can find, or even in hardback copies, you can find maps of the world. If you're playing a module, a lot of times they come with maps, and a lot of times when you are using a module, they come with a lot of the maps already. So like my first module, my first time really DMing, I ran the Icewind Dale module. And so inside of it, it had I actually printed these up, but there's already maps for everywhere in there. And so I went through and I just got them, but they come with a lot of pre-established maps for like the cities and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, it takes a lot of the hard work. It takes a lot of the hard work off of you if you play a module. But it's always still fun to search online and find what you can to help the players enjoy what they're doing more. Now, one of the tools as a DM that I use, being in an already established world, is there are websites that have interactive maps. And interactive maps are awesome because you can find either a whole region map, and they have like little interactive dots you can click on, and when you click on it, it tells you a description of that area. And then you can look up interactive maps of specific cities, and they've got every point of interest in that city listed on there. And it just makes your life so much easier and just keeping track of stuff. So I really like using the interactive maps. I just keep them on my computer as like a extra little window. And so if a player is asking something, and like, let's say I am in Iman and my players ask me a question about going to a certain place in Iman, or they're like, hey, where would the local whatever be? I have a map right there pulled up, and I can click and find out not just about it. Sometimes, depending on the setting that you're in, it even has descriptions of what the location even looks like. So they're really, really nice to have. You can find, I think there's a website called Maps Interactive, I think is what it is, or something like that. But when you find it, it definitely makes your life a lot easier, and being able to keep track of the world. And I just like having it up so I have a visual of the world that we're in, so that if a player is like, hey, well, we're here right now, but we want to go to this place, which direction do we want to head? I'm like, oh, well, you're going to want to go north, or you want to go northeast, or that kind of stuff. Makes you look a lot more intelligent as a DM, when in all reality someone else has already done all the work. I'm just using their work to help me out. Also, like, if you are a DM and you are watching this, if there are ideas that pop up when it comes to creating a world, or you're someone that likes to do your own homebrew, put them in the comments. Like, help us help other DMs, so that and if you're a new DM and you're watching this, on all my videos, check the comments, add a comment, ask a question in the comment, and we can have other DMs or myself try to answer that question for you. Or if it's a question that I think, like, what, we could do a whole video on that. Maybe we'll add it to my list of stuff that we're going to do a whole video on. The more things that I can do to help you, the better. Because that's what I want to do. I want you, as a potential new DM that's like, hey, I've played a couple times and I really like playing, but man, I really have a story I'd like to share as a DM, but the idea of sitting behind that screen is terrifying to me. Let's do everything that we can to give you a step-by-step video instructions on hey, it's not that scary. It really isn't. It might appear that way, but once you get behind that screen and you get rolling, how can we help make this as easy for you as possible? Because the more DMs, the more people we can get playing D&D, and the bigger this D&D community can grow. On that note, that's what I've got for choosing a setting, is figuring out the world you want to have it in, establishing, do you want to homebrew? Do you want to do it yourself? Do you want to go ahead and do one that's already created? Do you want to run a module, something to where someone's already done all the work for you? Once you've got that established, you're at the beginning, you've knocked out the very first step of figuring out your whole campaign. So the first couple videos we did were all about helping you as a DM figure out how do you want to DM. Now we're starting to get into videos that are about how to craft your campaign or your setting or whatever it is. But on our next episode, we are going to be covering a story arc, like how to come up with a story to put in the world that you just picked after today. So on that note, this is Dave, Full Armor Gaming. Oh, as always, like and subscribe so we can keep this kind of content coming to you guys. I'm having a ton of fun helping other DMs grow, and I want to just keep this going. So like I said, if you have a friend that is a potential DM, or you know someone that is DMing and you're like, hey, do you have any ideas to add on? Show this to your friends, share this to people, and let's get this out there and get it growing. Thanks.